Hello everyone, and welcome back to Hidden Korea, where we uncover the most breathtaking moments and untold stories from the world of Asian entertainment. Today, we're stepping into a celebration unlike any other. Inside Zhao Lusi and Leo Wu's once-in-a-lifetime wedding, Beijing's grandest celebration yet. From the glittering lights of the capital to the whispers of a love story years in the making. This was not just a wedding, it was a spectacle that redefined romance and royalty in sea entertainment. Who attended? What moments made the audience gasp? And why is this wedding being called the event of the century? Stay with us, because tonight, we're taking you inside the heart of Beijing's most unforgettable night. The air above Beijing shimmered that night. The city was drenched in gold, from the polished domes of the Grand Meridian Hotel to the rows of lanterns glowing like constellations along the driveway. Security guards lined the gates. Hundreds of cameras flashed as black cars glided in one after another, each carrying a face the world knew. But all eyes were on one thing, the wedding of Luna Zhao and Adrian Wu, the union everyone thought they'd never see. For months, rumors had swirled. Whispers that their engagement had been broken. Their families, powerful and proud, were at odds. That Adrian had vanished from the public eye because of an incident no one dared describe. But tonight, every rumor turned to smoke as Beijing's elite gathered to witness what was already being called the wedding of the century. Inside the ballroom, it was as if time had stopped. Thousands of white orchids cascaded from the ceiling like frozen rain. A crystal aisle ran the length of the room, reflecting 1,000 glittering chandeliers. The guests were silent, not out of politeness, but awe. And then, she appeared. Luna Zhao, in a gown that seemed to breathe. Layers of silk rippled with each step, catching the light like moonfire. Veil was so long it brushed the marble behind her, embroidered with tiny gold cranes, a symbol of eternity. The orchestra's strings swelled, trembling with emotion as she walked toward Adrian. He stood waiting, eyes fixed, hands trembling slightly, though only those closest could see it. Adrian Wu, the actor-turned-entrepreneur who had conquered every screen and scandal, now looked like a man stripped bare. When their eyes met, the noise of cameras, music, and whispers faded into nothing. But behind that perfection, something darker simmered. Because this wasn't just a wedding. It was a performance, one that had taken months to script, rehearse, and protect. Days before the ceremony, a leak had threatened to ruin everything. Someone within the wedding team had sent private rehearsal footage to a gossip outlet. A video of Luna and Adrian arguing in an empty ballroom. Audio was distorted, but the words were unmistakable. "Do you still love me?" she had asked, her voice breaking. "You know this isn't about love," he had said. The video spread like wildfire before being scrubbed from the internet. But the damage was done. People speculated, was this marriage real? Or was it a peace treaty between two empires disguised as romance? Yet here they stood now, smiling as if nothing had happened. The officiant spoke. Luna's hands didn't tremble. Her vows were steady, poetic, every word rehearsed but delivered with heartbreaking sincerity. "You once told me that love was a storm. I was afraid of the lightning. But you taught me that even thunder has music." Gasps rippled through the room. Even the press, positioned discreetly at the back, felt a hush settle over them. Adrian's turn came. His voice was low, almost trembling. "The first time I saw you, I thought the world stopped for a second. Tonight, I realize it never started again until now." The audience erupted. Applause, tears, and cheers filled the air. It was flawless, too flawless. But outside the hall, near the catering trucks, a young journalist named Evelyn Han was refreshing her phone. She had received an anonymous message 15 minutes earlier. "Check the back exit after midnight. You'll see what kind of wedding this really is." Didn't know who sent it, but something about the timing made her stay. Meanwhile, the wedding reception began. The champagne was endless, the music alive. Dancers dressed in gold moved between the tables like flames. Influencers streamed every second. Hashtags trending worldwide. Luna and Adrian wedding Beijing royalty forever starts now. Luna laughed for the cameras. Every gesture perfect. Every glance gentle. But those who knew her, truly knew her, saw something else. A flicker. A calculation behind the smiles. As midnight approached, fireworks exploded across the sky. Guests poured onto the balcony to watch. Adrian wrapped an arm around Luna's waist, whispering something that made her laugh. But her eyes never reached his. They were watching someone else, across the crowd, near the shadows. A man in a black suit stood there, face half hidden, holding a glass of champagne. When she met his gaze, he raised a glass in silent acknowledgement, then vanished into the corridor. Luna's heart skipped. She turned her head quickly. But Adrian had already noticed the flicker in her expression. "Who is that?" he asked softly, his smile never breaking for the cameras. "No one," she said. "Just a guest." But her voice betrayed her. Adrian's fingers tightened around hers, gently but firmly. "Be careful, Luna," he murmured, still smiling for the photographers. "Tonight isn't over yet." When the last firework faded, Evelyn Hahn slipped away from the crowd and circled toward the service exit. Her heart pounded. The hallway was dim, only by the soft glow of emergency lights. Then she heard it, laughter, voices, steps, coming from the far end. She peeked around the corner and froze. There, away from the cameras and the glamour, stood Luna Zhao, no veil now, gown slightly torn, facing a man who wasn't Adrian. He was tall, sharp-eyed, familiar. Elias Wren, Adrian's former best friend. Evelyn's hand shook as she hit record. Luna's voice trembled. "You shouldn't have come." "I had to," Elias said. "You're making a mistake. You think I don't know that? Then stop it. Walk away." She laughed bitterly. "There's no walking away from this, Elias. It isn't just a wedding, it's a contract. You know what's at stake." He stepped closer. "You don't love him." "No," she whispered. "But I owe him." The silence that followed was thick enough to drown in. Evelyn's heart hammered so loudly she thought they'd hear it. Then Elias said something she couldn't believe. "Owe him nothing. He's the one who destroyed you." The sound of her gasp echoed down the hall. "Stop," she hissed. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" he said. "Who leaked the video? Luna? Who made you look weak before the world?" They strained of color. "Adrian." He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Evelyn's phone trembled in her hand. She had the story of her lifetime. And inside the ballroom, Adrian raised his glass for one final toast, his smile sharp enough to cut glass. "To love," he said. "And to the truth, may it never ruin a perfect night." The guests cheered. But Luna's eyes were still locked on the door. Elias had just disappeared into the dark. Outside, snow began to fall, soft, silent, and merciless. And somewhere deep inside the Grand Meridian Hotel, the wedding of the century was about to become the scandal of the decade. The sound of celebration faded into the distance, by the echo of Luna's heels against marble. The ballroom, once roaring with applause, now lay behind her like a dream dissolving at dawn. Quickly through the corridors, the weight of Elias's words chasing her like a ghost. Every chandelier reflection seemed to multiply her face, the bride, the actress, the liar, the prisoner. Her hand, she still clutched her bouquet, crushed, petals falling like tiny fragments of the life she thought she wanted. She found him in the West Wing lounge, where the music couldn't reach. Adrian was alone, sitting by the fireplace, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him. He didn't look surprised when she entered. "You found out," he said quietly. Her throat tightened. "The video." He didn't answer right away. He just stared into the fire as if it might confess for him. Then finally, "I had to." Her voice broke. "You had to humiliate me. I had to remind you who controls the story," he said softly. "Because you were slipping away, Luna. We're thinking about walking out. I couldn't let that happen, not after everything we built." She stepped back, trembling. "We built," she repeated. "This wasn't love, Adrian. It was survival." He rose slowly, his shadow stretching across the wall like a beast. "You call it survival. I call it empire." Words hung between them, cold and final. In another corner of the hotel, Evelyn Hahn was sending the video to her editor. Her hands shook as she hit upload. She didn't know what she was about to unleash, only that the truth had claws. And tonight it would finally scratch its way out. Back in the lounge, Luna's voice dropped to a whisper. "You used me. The whole world thinks we're the perfect couple, but you made you untouchable," Adrian cut in. "You were a rising star drowning in scandals. I gave you power, protection, a name. You think you could have built all this alone?" He met his gaze, her eyes filled with a mix of rage and heartbreak. I didn't want your empire. I wanted peace. Laughed, quiet and sharp. Peace doesn't exist here. All people should know that. In this world, love is a transaction. And tonight, close the deal. A single tear fell down her cheek. She didn't bother wiping it away. Then consider this my refund. Her veil ripping as it caught on the chair. Sound sliced through the silence. Adrian didn't move. He watched her leave, calm, expressionless, until she was gone. Outside, the snow was falling harder now, blanketing the Grand Hotel in white. Streets below glowed with reporters and fans, oblivious to the chaos brewing above. Luna pushed through a side door and stepped into the cold. The wind bit through her gown, but she didn't care. She walked until the hotel was a blur of light behind her. Then headlights flashed. A car stopped beside her. Elias. Get in, he said. She hesitated for a moment before slipping into the passenger seat. Her fingers were numb, her pulse wild. Elias started driving. The city blurred past, ancient walls, neon lights, endless roads. They spoke for a while. Finally, he said, "The video's out. Evelyn sent it." Luna closed her eyes. "Good. You're not afraid." "No," she said. "Let it burn." He looked at her, startled. "You realize what this means? His reputation, yours. Truth is the only thing left to save." By dawn, Beijing woke to chaos. Headlines screamed across every screen. The lie behind the fairy tale, Luna Zhao's wedding scandal exposed. Clips of her confrontation with Adrian flooded social media. News anchors dissected every frame. The industry trembled. Adrian, meanwhile, vanished. No public statement. No denial. Just silence, the kind that feels more dangerous than noise. Luna's management tried to contain the storm. It was already too big. Every network wanted her side of the story. Every brand wanted distance. Every fan demanded truth. And then, she spoke. 2 days later, she appeared live, no makeup, no filters, just Luna Zhao. Broadcast had over 30 million viewers. "I once thought love was a stage," she said softly. "But I was wrong. Love isn't meant to be performed." It's cracked, but she didn't stop. "I lived in a world where silence was safer than honesty. Where perfection mattered more than peace. Learned something, the truth hurts less than pretending." For a moment, the world went still. She ended with a single line that echoed everywhere. "I wasn't his bride. I was his mirror." Mirrors don't lie forever. The clip shattered the internet. The wedding that began as the symbol of power now stood as the monument of deceit. In the weeks that followed, Adrian's empire began to crumble. Sponsors withdrew. Investors fled. But the public couldn't stop talking. Some pitied him. Others condemned him. Everyone watched. Evelyn Hahn became a legend overnight, the journalist who exposed the wedding of the century. Yet even she couldn't shake the feeling that the story wasn't over. One night, a message appeared in her inbox from an unknown sender. "You think you uncovered the truth. You didn't even scratch the surface." Attached was a photo, an old contract, signed by both Luna and Adrian. At the bottom, a handwritten note. "Until the world believes it's real." The timestamp was from 3 years ago. Evelyn's hands trembled. She looked closer, and saw a third signature. Blurred but faintly visible. Elias Wren. Her heart froze. She checked the metadata. The document had been sent from a private server, one traced to the Grand Meridian Hotel. In that instant, Evelyn realized the scandal wasn't over. The marriage might have been fake. But the alliance, the business, the power, was still alive. Somewhere out there, Luna was still playing the game. The story closed with a final image. Video leaked days later, Luna walking alone through the snow, no veil, no gown. Just a woman reborn. She turned once toward the camera, her eyes steady, and whispered, "This time, I write my own ending." And she disappeared into the white. The city forgot, as cities always do. New scandals rose. New stars were crowned. The lights of Beijing glimmered again, bright, unbothered, eternal. But somewhere beyond the noise, a woman walked alone beneath the falling snow. Luna Zhao was no longer a headline. No longer a performance. She had become something rarer, a truth untamed. The wedding that once defined her became nothing more than a memory carved in gold and regret. But in her silence, there was no defeat, only rebirth. People still whispered about her. About that final look she gave the camera. About the words that ended it all. This time, I write my own ending. Maybe she did. Because sometimes, love doesn't need witnesses, only freedom. And in the quiet streets of a city that never sleeps, her story finally did. To everyone who journeyed with us through this story, thank you. Behind every dazzling spotlight, there's a shadow. Behind every rumor, a heartbeat that refuses to be silenced. Through Luna and Adrian's world of beauty, ambition, and heartbreak, we are reminded that even the grandest stage can hide fragile truths, and that freedom, not perfection, is the most powerful ending of all. Hidden Korea, we tell stories not just to entertain, but to reveal the emotion behind the elegance, the quiet courage behind every shining face. Thank you for watching, for feeling, for believing in stories that echo beyond the screen. Next time, may your heart stay curious, your spirit stay kind, and your story be your own.